to the Slaying Self Doubt YouTube channel. Here is where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to walk into their God given purpose. How do we do that, you ask? Well, we create safe and brave spaces just like this for Black women to show up authentically as themselves. So join me and sometimes some of my friends or our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I am Coach Felicia, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey, Slayers, welcome back to another episode of the Slaying Self Doubt Podcast. It's your girl, Coach Felicia. Happy New Year. Welcome back, everybody. And welcome to all the new Slayers joining our movement. No matter how you found me, whether it was by way of Google, Instagram, YouTube, it don't matter. I'm just glad that you're here. Sorry, I'm trying to fix y'all in my ear because I'm kind of weird about that, but okay, it's whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. Um, okay, guys. So last year, 2023, we were focused on trying to hit 100,000 downloads, and prior to like the numbers going up, I thought I was gonna be at like 70, like the way it was kind of going. But we ended the year with 76,000 downloads, which is still a big deal. And I'm grateful for it. And probably by the time this airs, because I'm recording this on Thursday, by the time this airs on Sunday, I think that we will have hit 77,000 downloads. So I'm gonna go ahead and celebrate that now. A. So I'm super excited about that. So that is just all thanks to you for continuing to listen to us, continuing to share. And so I'm gonna ask you again this year. The goal is still 100,000, y'all. We can do it. We are so much closer. Okay, so much closer. We hitting 100,000 in 2024. It is a guarantee. So keep sharing it. At least 10 people. I know you know that many people. Put it on your social, all those things. And when we hit 100,000, baby, we gonna celebrate. Okay, we is going to celebrate. Come on. Anyway, all right. So this is the first episode of 2024. I do have some series stuff that I want to come up that I want to talk about, but I wanted to use this time to reflect on something that I talked about back in November that is still very prevalent to right now, and then just give y'all some updates. Um and so I'll start with the kind of the backstory. So in episode 266 is called Let Go and Let God. And we talked about releasing things. And I shared during that time that it was my birthday and God gave me the word of release, right? And so generally you hear people talking about their word for the year, like when the year starts, that's what they're gonna do. But this time God gave me a word for my year, right? So prayerfully at 44, maybe he'd give me another word. I don't know. But just the word he gave me for the age of 43, okay, which was release. And so what we talked about in that episode was releasing control and not being Jesus Jr., okay, and letting him do his job. Also not do like my personal like letting go of things that I'm doing for my family or trying to control stuff or even even within my own life, like things that I want to kind of do. And so the scripture that we were standing on for that one is Proverbs 3 5 through 6, chapter 3 verses 5 through 6, child. um Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. And so that is not being Jesus Jr. and releasing control. So the second one was releasing expectation. This is where I was getting tongue tied because I said mine and others. And so it's my unrealistic expectation that I put on myself as a wife, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as an employee, as a whatever. Um, all of as a friend, as a woman, there's certain things that I put on myself over the years, either from seeing people do stuff or assuming that this is what things are supposed to look like. That now I had all this pressure, and then other people's expectations. All the things I listed and the people that got to deal with that, right? So as a mom, like your kids' expectations, I'm in a different season of my life. My kids got somewhere to go all the time. And my cousin says this often, don't let their urgency be an emergency for you, right? And because if you know these children in this age, everything is like immediate. Like, oh my gosh, I gotta wait. What do you mean I gotta wait? And it's like, bruh, I'm doing the best that I can, right? And but I would always get like worked up and I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm not able to do this. And I would feel bad and this whole mom guilt would happen. And I would always be like, why they fathers don't have the same reaction as I do, right? And I think, some of it is just that they don't care about what it is that they fussing about. They said what they said, and that's the end of that. Whereas for me, I think they know that if they can play on my emotions a little bit, not intentionally, but you know, um, just like, oh, mommy, blah blah blah. Then it's like, okay, fine. You just gonna go ahead and give in. But I have to release that expectation because I can't always stop and do. Sometimes you're gonna have to wait, and you got to be okay with that. And so do I. So the scripture I was standing on for that is Proverbs 19, 21. In those moments, God humbly reminds me that many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. And that for me is that you could put all these expectations out and you could be trying to do all this stuff. But baby, if the Lord got something else going on, that ain't gonna get halted, okay? Because clearly, just 2.5 weeks ago, I got sat down with COVID. Okay, nobody else in my house had it. It was just for me, and I was like, my son was sick, but he ended up having a flu. So in like 3 days, he was completely fine. I was over here just like I can't even keep my eyes open. I'm so tired, right? But it was one of those things where God sat me down, right? So I had plans that week, things that I was gonna do, and he was like, I'm gonna need you to come on, come on over here, right? And I was sharing with somebody else this week that historically, if I was to have gotten sat down, I would fight it for like days, right? Like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. I would be thinking about it. Baby, as soon as that thing said positive, I said, well, I just put my changed my clothes, got in the shower, made sure I had all my stuff. I said, told my husband, you got to go. You might as well just go to the basement. Got my water, done it, had everything I needed, and was like, what are we watching? Right? Like I'm about to just be in here streaming, laying down, sleeping when I feel like it, not worrying about it. Let me put this order in for some Kleenex. Like starting this release in 2023 was exactly what I needed to be able to go and come into this year feeling comfortable with doing it because I think when you're trying to do these things, it's hard for you to let some stuff go. But it was strategic. Like that's why this is saying, but it's the purpose of the Lord that will stand because his purpose was to show me what it was going to look like for me to release and how it was going to impact me. And so being able to see it prior to coming into this year made it so much easier for me to be like, yeah, I really don't care. Like I'm going to do what it is that I am called to do, what I need to do, and not put this onus on myself. Like I'm not carrying the book bag. You know what I'm saying? If I decide to pick it up, I am. If I don't, so be it. Right. Then the third one was releasing self doubt. So anxiety and fear about even releasing or doing having to make some pivotal changes when it comes to release because sometimes release isn't necessarily about um mental stuff, right? Releasing anxiety, releasing stress, letting some stuff go. It ain't sometimes it's food, sometimes it's habits, sometimes it's people, right? And sometimes when you're having to do those things, that part is stressful. Like if I gotta let go of somebody and I know it's on me to do, that causes you some stress when you know that there's certain people that shouldn't be in your life. Thankfully, I'm not in that space anymore because I pray a prayer often. I've shared on here, Lord, remove anything and everything that does not serve me. Done, period. And I have watched people walk out my life and be like, well, I guess I prayed that prayer and you was the one that was supposed to go, baby. All right. But the scripture that we're standing on for that one is Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold my righteous hand. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. And so that scripture just puts it makes it very clear like you don't have to worry about anything. Like I got you. He is telling me I got you even in this transition, even in this releasing season, and whatever comes along with it, I still got you, so don't worry about it. So so this is how we get into here, right? So as that I spent that week in the bed, chilling or whatever. It was still some things that God was doing within me that was forcing me to have to make some decisions about 2024 and being very clear for myself and with him about how I wanted to do things this time around, right? So you've been here, my story. God called me out of my living to start this to focus solely on slaying self-doubt is what I thought. It was absolutely, but and also it was a season where I needed to be home with my family and my kids, and everything, happened exactly the way it was supposed to. I can say that now. However, during it was tough, and I think that if anybody is going through a season where God is calling you to do something and you don't see the fruits of your labor, or you don't see the benefits of why he has you to do that, you can be um frustrated, and I've been there multiple times, and it's okay, right? But what I had to come to grips with is that there are some things that I put on my plate, some things that I said I was going to do, some commitments that I made, some ideas that I pushed to go forward off my own strength, right? And I've shared this before. There's plenty of times that I did that. I seen stuff happening with other people, and so then I was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do it this way," right? And a lot of it was the initial expectation of God is taking me out of my job to blow up this business, right? And it ain't happened the way I thought it was gonna happen. I mean, it didn't pan out how I thought it was, but that was my expectation. And I shared before in another episode that I never went back to him and said, hey God, well, what are we supposed to do it? Like I would do it in spurts, but it would be like, you know, oh, okay, you give me this idea, I'm gonna just run with it. I'm gonna just do it. You must want me to do this. Versus like over the summer, I posted something that basically said, you on vacation, sometimes when you're having breaks, this, that, and the third, God downloads stuff. Somebody shared when I reposted it was like even in the shower. I get a lot of ideas in the shower too. Um, that you will get downloaded stuff. And this summer when I was on vacation, he didn't give me anything. Like it nothing came. But what was in my spirit that he eventually said was, why would I give you something new when you haven't completed what I gave you to begin with? Right. And I had to really think about like, well, what is that? Like, I feel like I've been doing this and I feel like I've been doing that. And during this, the couple of weeks ago when I was sick or whatever have you, and really having to have a come to Jesus moment with myself, I said it multiple times. It starts with here with the podcast. Like I am doing it, I am showing up, I am being somewhat consistent previously, but the same effort I was giving it in 2020 shifted. The minute I was like thinking about the money, and y'all know we get trill on here, right? The minute I started thinking about the money and how I could, oh, I can monetize this. Like I can do this, I can do that. Then you have other people who they mean well. And don't get me wrong, before I even go down this, because there are a lot of people who listen to the show who have been a part of this journey, who have given me ideas, who have said, I think it'd be a great idea if you did such and such. And, you should really look into doing, I don't know whether it be apparel, whether it be products, whether it be downloadable services, coaching, all of those different things. This is different things that people have given me as ideas. And I said, yeah, you know what? That is a good idea. And here's the thing, none of them were bad ideas. They are very good ideas. However, what I did is I inputted that information and started doing those things before completing the very first task, right? And the very first task was building building this community, this slaying self-doubt community, and using my voice to do that, right? And yes, anybody who's listening will be like, well, you be on here, you be doing it, da, da, da. But the difference is that in 2020 I was sitting down, I was writing out whatever my topics was going to be. Even when it came to my interviews, like I was very strategic about that. Like I focused, I put my effort into it. What happened was is I put that thing to the back burner and I was like, well, I'm gonna just do it when I feel like it. Oh yeah, I want to interview some people. Let me just do it was kind of haphazardly, right? Versus like being very intentional. Like, what are you going to talk about? You have these people's ear for 30 to 40 minutes. What are you going to give them that they can use in their everyday life? What is it that God is asking you to share with these women who are struggling the same way you are struggling with your confidence and whether or not you're making the right decision as a parent, whether or not you're making the right decision as an employee, as an entrepreneur, as a wife, like that internal struggle, that negative self-talk that you are randomly like, now why would I say that to myself? Right? All of the fear of failure, the imposter syndrome, all of these different things that we are struggling with. That this is the stuff that I was telling you when I was walking through it, right? When I was walking through that transition out of my job, I was sharing those real life moments where I was like, baby, I'm about to put my notice in. I have no idea what God is calling me to do. Those are the things that were connecting people because it was real. Now, that's not to say that throughout the rest of the time, the stuff that I've been sharing has not been real. It has. All of everything that I've shared with you is real, honest, and true. And at the same time, it was thrown together, right? There was no intentionality behind it. And it was because of the fact that I wanted more and I was trying to rush to do all of these things. So the into in 2023, my church, greatest church in the DMV, Zion Church, if you don't know, come on. Um, Pastor Battle was doing a series on margin, right? And so I, listened to every series, every sermon. And I was in the building because I serve on Sundays. But the last Sunday, the 31st, yeah, New Year's Eve, I actually went into service because that was one of my intentions for this year is to go into service, even if I'm serving every Sunday. Like I have to go in and sit in and get fed the word. Like that was something that's lacking in my spiritual walk that I know I needed to do, right? And so the thing that he talked about was financial margin, right? And so I was like, of course, this would be the one I'm gonna come into. Like I already feel some type of way, whatever the case may be, because here I am bringing this baggage with me of like, I left my good job to come do entrepreneurship and it is not translating financially the way that I thought it would. At the same time, yes, I'm grateful for God's provision. I'm grateful that things haven't had to, be off too much. And I also know that I'm now in a new season, right? Like I told y'all, I am working part time at the church, and that is a transition because it's something new, and also still trying to do this, right? And so one of the things that stuck out to me is that he basically said the key to financial margin is contentment. And when I tell you that thing hit me right in my gut, because I realized that my issue all along had been contentment. From June 28th, 2019 until December 31st, 2023, my issue had been contentment. I was not content with where God had me. And that is a hard thing to admit to yourself eternally. I already, I did it. But also out loud, right? And it's not like I think when sometimes when people hear contentment, it's like, well, God, well, how much more you need? Da, 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 da. And it's not that. I think it's for me anyway. The contentment was that this is my life now, right? We make plans. We this is the releasing part, right? We make plans. We have an idea of what life is going to be. We think that okay, we're going to get this job and we're going to stay here. This and you've written out what's going to happen with my kids. This is what school they're going to go to. This is how long we're going to. This we're going on vacation. We're planning things. So many, so many things, right? And oftentimes, because you're always thinking about more and doing different stuff and doing more, you aren't content with the space. I shared with y'all when I first left my job, like 2 days later, I was already like, okay, I need to be doing something else. What should I be doing? I never sought peace in the situation that God had put me in. I was grateful, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I've been grateful the entire time. Like when I tell people and they're like, oh, where, people that I've seen that, know what I used to work at, where you at now? And I'll say, oh, I'm working part time and I'm still an entrepreneur. Oh my God, must be nice, right? And I always say, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I'm still able to be in this space, right? I tell my husband often, I am grateful. I literally have no other words but gratitude for the support that you have given us, the way you have held us down over these last 4 years. Like, I am grateful, right? And at the same time, I had not been content. There have been things internally that I have been struggling with to have more, do more things, want more stuff versus being grateful and content, right? Now, again, there have been moments of contentment, but for the most part, mm-mm. I was always looking for, all right, well, what's the next thing? And in that sermon that he was sharing was like, when you're continuously running to try to get the next thing and you out here, let me grab this, let me try to do this, let me do this, whatever have you, you miss out on what you have. You miss out on what you have at this very moment, the time that you waste time focusing on what you don't have, right? And so in this space of releasing in 2024, I also want us to think about being content, because sometimes release is releasing the life we thought we should have and being content with the life that we have, because this we get this one, right? And if you spend your entire life wishing you had a different life, you will miss the blessings, you will miss the gifts, you will miss the people who God has placed in your life right now to show you how good you actually have it, right? Even when I had to take a pause after that sermon, and yeah, I was gathered and I said, dang, am I content? Like, we tell our kids, we got food in the house, right? We got this. We want them to be content with stuff. We want them to be grateful for the things, but you should, we already got this. Why you need more? Why you need this? But sometimes we don't realize that sometimes more isn't necessarily about material things or money. Sometimes more is your dream. Sometimes more is um where you thought you were going to be. And I don't want you to take this as like, well, I shouldn't want more for my life and I shouldn't want to do more and be better and this, and I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that everything happens for a reason, and God has a purpose for our life. And also there are changes, pivots, things that have to happen in order for him to get you to where he needs you to be. And I think that's the part that we forget. We think that we're in control. So we're back to release, right? Because all of this is going to go back to the same thing. We think that we in control. God has an end goal for us. And it's not a straight line. It's going to go like this. But if every time it goes to the left, you keep trying to pull it to the right, or, to get it, trying to pull it so you get control of it, versus allowing the ebbs and flows to happen in your life, because there is beauty that's in that, right? I think about some of the hardest times in my life that I struggled with, or I was frustrated, but I think back now and I'm able to say that had to happen. Those things had to happen in order for me to get here. I think I shared this before. If not, it's fine, but I'm going to share it now. Um I was talking to my girlfriends, and we were talking about um homecoming. And, they're like, "Oh, but you haven't been in a while, blah, 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 blah." And it took me a while to be able to tell them, like, I was sitting there struggling, like, should I just say it? And I was like, I'm just gonna say it, don't matter. And so I told them, I said, well, honestly, it's not that I didn't want to go. I said, but I'm gonna be honest that some of it was my own insecurity. Like, I didn't graduate. I left after freshman year, right? And for me personally, I feel some way about it. I don't regret it, right? Because if I regretted it, I would be saying that I wish that none of the things that came after that happened. If I like, my life would not be where it is had I graduated with y'all. I am clear of that. One is because I would not have met my oldest son's father. I met him while y'all was in school. I would have been in Virginia. I would have been in Hampton. I would not have been at Club U, right? So there's no way that I would have been able to meet him, and this would be the connection. Even in knowing some of the people that knew my husband, like, I wouldn't have been in relationship with those people had I been, because I would have had a different life, right? Had I not done the same thing. So I was like, it's not that I regret it, but I do feel some type of way about it. And they reminded me, now granted, that was for me, that was a hard time in my early teens, teens, late teens or 1920, knowing that, dang, I feel some type of way that I'm not going back to school. And it was on me because I didn't go to class. And my mother said, I'm not the one. Understood. Um, and I felt some type of way about that 4 years, right? And then they just shared with me, like, I mean, that doesn't matter, right? Like, our connection and the fact that we're still friends, the fact that we've been in each other's weddings, baby showers, some of us are godparents to each other's kids, the fact that we are doing life together is that connection. So there's no way you can regret that, because then we wouldn't be here. But at the same time, you got to be content in the space that you're in. So even like, so I said some things had to happen, right? I had to leave that school because I had to, this is the purpose that God has for me. I probably wouldn't be doing this. I would have majored in something and been doing something else. I don't even know, right? But that would have been this. And so even in those derailments, you end up being right on track. And so my point of sharing all of that is that in in releasing and also being content with the life that you currently have allows you to be able to see the beauty in it, allows you to be able to take a pause and realize what you actually need and what you don't need. Sometimes you don't need the big stuff. Sometimes it's just very simple, small, little things. And you got to be able to be in tune with that. But if you are so focused on what you don't have, if you are so focused on what's not happening and how it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to turn out, yeah, it's going to be you're going to be stuck because it's going to be as bad as you're saying it is. That is that. So my encouragement to you for today's episode is two things. One, what are you releasing in 2024? I want you to really take the time to think about that, and then I want you to share it with me. There'll be a link in the show notes. I'll also put it on the Instagram page when the show airs. But I want to know, what are you releasing in 2024? What is the thing that God has been telling you to let go of, right? And you may not even realize that you are letting it go. You may not even know that this is the thing you need, but some of y'all know. Some of y'all know that God has been telling you, let it go. Let them go. Let her go. Let him go. Let that situation go. And you just been holding on to it. And I saw on one of the many shows that I saw while I had COVID, it was Unprisoned on Hulu. And the father said, you want to be right or you want to be free? We hold on to stuff because we want to be right. We don't release stuff because we want to be right. But the choice is yours. You want to be right or do you want to be free? I want to be free. And so I'm choosing to release the things that no longer serve me. I'm choosing to release unspoken expectations, unrealistic expectations. I'm releasing control. I'm releasing doubt and fear. I am releasing the life I thought I was supposed to have when I left my job. And I am content with the life that God has given me because I wouldn't trade this. Everything that's happened over the last 4 years, I would not trade that. When I think about the last 4 years being here, I'm grateful. And honestly, even in, the frustrating parts or whatever have you, I'm so like this is the core memory, not only for me, but for my family, for my kids. Like this right here, I've said this before, but it's an answered prayer. Like there are times that I pray for more time with my family to be able to be a stay-at-home mom but I couldn't see it because I was looking at something else. And I realized l- contentment will make you realize that you are living in an answered prayer, but you got to be still enough to know to see it. And so that's what I'm doing. One last thing that I just want to share with you all. I posted it in my Instagram stories yesterday. But it was something that Jamal Bryan said that Priscilla Shaw said in her book, and he didn't reference the book. Now I need to go find the book that she said it. But anyway, in her closing out of her prayer, I believe, because I have no idea because I didn't read the book, but what he says is that she closes out her prayer, Lord, do this or something better. And so I just want to pray for each and every one of you that whatever it is that you stand in need of, that whatever it is that you're praying for to God for, whatever it is that you are asking God to do in your life, I'm asking Him on behalf of you. And because with two or more gathered, right? I am praying that, Lord, you do what it is that we're asking or something better. Either way, it's a win for me. Okay. So I just want to encourage you to use that, because I definitely said I am. I say, yes, Lord, do this or something better. Amen. Okay. Amen. Real quick announcements before we head out. So the workshops, that was something that I had to release because life is changing. Things are different now. And the Lord told me, let it go. Um, you coaching right now is paused because that is being revamped. And so you're gonna get me via the podcast. Um, excuse me, but individual coaching is paused for the time being. You can always download the Use Your Guide, using the power of your voice e-guide. You can download that today. You can grab a prayer journal from Amazon. You can get a new hoodie. We got hoodies in black, red, and army green. You can go ahead and get those today. We just out here trusting God hoodies and t-shirts. Join the Slayer Society Facebook group. That is free to join. That is where I am building community. So my goals for you all, for the podcast, for Slaying Self Doubt this year is um getting back to the basics, building community and focusing on a podcast. So I know that we do the series, The Journey Behind the Business. We are going to be, I'm working smarter, not harder. Okay. So I'm going to be alternating between solo episodes and guest episodes. So you're going to get me one week and then you'll get a guest episode the following week. Yeah, I know back in the day, I was dropping like 8 episodes a month. Baby, I don't have time for all of that. But I want to be able to give you these guest episodes because they are so dope. And I'm excited about some of these women who I'm going to be sharing space with and having these conversations with. So I'm super excited. As always, y'all, thank you so much for rocking with me. I am appreciative. I am grateful. And I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, I am thankful that you all continue to listen to me. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all. I hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. So make sure y'all on YouTube, thank you so much for subscribing. Keep hitting the subscribe button. I don't even know if you can share on the subscribe. I mean, on YouTube. I don't know. But if you know somebody who watches YouTube a lot, tell them come see me. Okay. Again, if you enjoyed this podcast and you find it valuable, please consider making a donation by buying me a coffee. Your support of a small donation of $5 to $10 will help me create new content, grow our audience, and purchase new equipment for live recordings. I want to be able to, share with y'all to be able to have go into a space and record, get a camera, lighting, all of those different things. And so some stuff, hey, this is where the intention is going. And so you have not because you'll ask not, and I am asking. Help a sister out. Okay. Um, it is the beginning of the year, y'all. You all know Jesus and therapy. I want you to take charge of your mental health. You can get 10% off your first month of therapy at betterhelp.com/slang. That's SLAYING. Link will be in the show notes. Make sure you're subscribed to the Slayer Nation newsletter. Make sure you share this episode with at least 10 people. 10 people, okay? We are going to hit 100,000 downloads this year. I know that for sure, and I need your help. Make sure you're following me on Instagram at Slaying Self Doubt. Until next week, keep slaying, sis. See ya. As always, y'all, thank you for rocking with me. Again, if you enjoyed this podcast and you find it valuable, you enjoy this channel and you find it valuable, please consider donating by buying me a coffee. Your support will help me to create new content, get an official podcast studio, and ultimately reach more people. That's what we need. We need more people on this movement. Okay. If you're not already signed up to the newsletter, go to my website, www.slayingselfdoubt.com, and sign up for the Slayer Nation newsletter. That's where you'll get updates, where you'll get what's going on. You'll get the news first. You don't have to wait until I announce it or hear. Okay. And lastly, well, second to last, please make sure that you share this with at least 10 people. We are trying to reach 100,000 downloads this year, and every subscription, every share counts. So we need it. We need you to send it out to your peoples so they can help us hit our goal this year. Lastly, if you are not already following me on Instagram, you need to go on over there and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Until the next episode, see ya.